boards in India are the third largest landowners after the army and the railways. It's another matter that thousands of acres claimed by the Waqfs are under dispute. And why wouldn't they be? In recent memory, the Waqf board of many states, especially southern India states, have made eyebrow-raising claims of vast expanses of land. Take, for example, in Tamil Nadu in 2022, the entire country was shocked when State Waqf Board claimed ownership of the entire village of Tiruchendurai. A story we followed very much here on Plain Speak, including a 1500-year-old Chola-era Hindu temple along with 6 other predominantly Hindu villages. This became one of the biggest test cases of Waqf claims in recent times. Later, in 2024 in Karnataka, State Waqf came under scrutiny when claims were made for over 1500 acres of land belonging to farmers in the Vijaypura district. State Congress government had to accept later that of the total 14,000 acre notified property by the Waqf board in Vijaypura district alone, some 12,000 acres are under dispute. Can you imagine the scale of this? And more recently, Kerala Waqf has claimed 400 acres of land in Ernakulam's Munambam, which was in possession of 600 odd families for generations. No wonder locals are up in arms. Which is why most feel reasonable restrictions and basic logic needs to be inserted into this act that is being widely seen as an institutional attempt to appease powerful Muslims by several Congress-led governments in the centre in the past. Let me outline this by showcasing the major changes that this act will bring, which will highlight the absolute sheer madness of the prevailing act. The new bill deletes the power of the Waqf board to inquire and determine if a property is Waqf. Because earlier in the past, Waqf boards itself were judge, jury and executioners, staking claim at whatever they felt was Waqf land and putting the burden of proof and litigation on the opposite party. Surveys to determine if a land is Waqf will now be conducted by the district collector and not by an appointed commissioner by the Waqf boards. One of the biggest issues with Waqf power was that tribunals' decisions were also deemed to be final, barring an odd case in high courts. That will no longer be the case. I'm wondering why there can be a problem with this. The new bill also removes Waqf by user provision, where properties could be deemed as Waqf based solely on prolonged use for religious purposes. It also adds that Waqf alal aulad, which is a form of private Waqf, must not result in denial of inheritance rights to the donor's heir, including women heirs. There is another big contention and the biggest bone of contention for governments especially, which is that government properties can no longer be deemed as Waqf. Countless properties of national importance with buildings of central or state governments or even the judiciary are claimed by Waqf boards as we speak. And finally, 2 members can now be non-Muslim, at least when adding ex-judges or other eminent members. Even the Sachar committee had recommended inclusion of non-Muslim technical expertise in management of Waqf. In fact, this last change has come one of the many worries expressed by Muslim bodies. At the front line of the protests are AIM-PLB, the self-styled Muslim Personal Law Board. They are questioning the addition of non-Muslim members, but government voices back this as the need to promote inclusivity. And like I said, even such a committee had recommended such a reform in the past. Another concern is that now a government administrator is in charge of disputed land or claims, which government says was needed to bring in much needed accountability. After all, the tribunal cannot be sitting in judgment of whether something is Waqf land or not. With all undocumented mosques and even graveyards become open to reclaims. This is another concern of Muslim bodies, possibly a legitimate one. But government says that there is zero interference as far as registered properties are concerned. And finally, one concern is also that appeals against tribunal rulings will open long litigation. The Muslim bodies are suggesting that. But this, remember, is the most foul of all provisions of the existing Act, and government echoes that currently there is no judicial oversight to any of the tribunal rulings, and that certainly cannot be allowed to prevail. Interestingly, Kerala Catholic Bishops' Council have also asked Kerala MPs to support the amendments in Parliament, saying provisions have to be made more just. So does that give the BJP a fillip as far as their reform push is concerned? We debate this. First, on plain speak today, is the Waqf Amendment purely the need of the hour, and should everyone come on board?
हमारी रिपोर्ट को पढ़ा और उनको लगता है कि ये वक्त के बेहतरी के लिए है, डिस्प्यूट ख़त्म होगा। केरल की सैकड़ों साल पुरानी चर्च को कह दिया वक्फ है।
वक्फ में अमेंडमेंट की ज़रूरत है।
जो सहूलतें हमारे हिंदू भाइयों को उनके धार्मिक स्थलों और मजहबी कामों के लिए है, सिख भाइयों को है, मुसलमानों को उससे महरूम करने की कोशिश की जा रही है।
कौन लोग हैं समाज में जो खुले आम पर झूठ बोल करके लोगों को बरगलाने का प्रयास करना, ये कहाँ का तरीका है?
जो फैसले, जो कानून, जो संविधान में परिवर्तन भारतीय जनता पार्टी करती है, उससे पॉलिटिकल लाभ लेना चाहती है।
First up, I want to go across to Syed Nasiruddin Chishti, All India Sufi Sajadansheen Council and successor of the spiritual head of Ajmer Dargah, one of the rare Muslim voices, or at least chief Muslim voices, who has come out in support of the Waqf Amendment. आप देख ही रहे होंगे कि बहुत disturbance हो गया है। AIM, PLB प्रोटेस्ट की बात कर रही हैं, वो कर रहे हैं प्रोटेस्ट। ईद के दिन भी, आज के दिन भी प्रोटेस्ट हो रहा था। तो आप क्या कहेंगे मुस्लिम समाज से कि क्यों उन्हें इतनी दिक्कत नहीं होनी चाहिए जो अमेंडमेंट आ रहा है? आप उन्हें कैसे समझाएंगे?
देखिए, डेमोक्रेसी में हम लोग रहते हैं, पक्ष विपक्ष और सहमति असहमति तो एक डेमोक्रेसी का पार्ट है। और प्रोटेस्ट करने का राइट भी अगर कोई पीसफुल तरीके से, डेमोक्रेटिक तरीके से करता है तो करे, तो कोई एतराज नहीं है। लेकिन ईद जैसे मुबारक मौके को अवॉइड करना चाहिए था। ये तो ईद है, इसमें तो खुशियां तो मनाना चाहिए और गिले शिकवे भूल कर गले मिलना चाहिए। ठीक है, जिन्होंने किया, मैं उन पर कोई आक्षेप नहीं कर रहा हूँ, ना उन बॉडीज पे, ना उन तंजीमों पे। मैं अपनी बात रख रहा हूँ। देखिए, वक्फ एक्ट में अमेंडमेंट की जरूरत है, ये सब मानते हैं, इसमें कहीं डिस्प्यूट नहीं है। प्रॉब्लम ये आ रही है, इसको पॉलिटिकल रंग दे दिया गया है। और मैं मुसलमानों को एक ही पैगाम देना चाहूंगा कि वक्फ जो है वो शरीयत का मसला, बिल्कुल रिलीजियस मैटर है। लेकिन जो 1954 में आफ्टर द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन जो एक्ट बनाया, वक्फ एक्ट, वो फॉर द मैनेजमेंट ऑफ द वक्फ प्रॉपर्टी, वक्फ प्रॉपर्टी को रेगुलेट करने के लिए प्रॉपर तरीके से, उसको प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए एक कानून बनाया गया था। उस कानून के तहत वक्फ बोर्ड बनाया गया। वक्फ बोर्ड के अंदर चेयरमैन होता है, सीईओ होता है, मेंबर्स होते हैं। ये शरीयत में कहीं इनका हवाला नहीं है, सीईओ होगा, मेंबर होगा या वक्फ बोर्ड होगा। उसके बाद सेंट्रल वक्फ काउंसिल आई। तो ये तो 1954 से हुकूमत के कंट्रोल में था पूरा इदारा। अब ये लोग कह रहे हैं कि हुकूमत के कंट्रोल में नहीं था, ये गलत बात है। ठीक है, वो ऑटोनॉमस बॉडी थी, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं हुकूमत का रोल रहता था। आज भी जितने स्टेट के वक्फ बोर्ड के चेयरमैन हैं, उनको आप देख लीजिए, वो गवर्नमेंट अपॉइंटी होते हैं। ठीक है, इंटरनल इलेक्शन करा देते हैं, लेकिन वो जिस पार्टी का रूलिंग पार्टी होती है उसी का ही चेयरमैन बनता है। तो ये वक्फ मैनेजमेंट को लेकर के, उसमें ट्रांसपेरेंसी लाने के लिए, उसको इफेक्टिव बनाने के लिए, वक्फ प्रॉपर्टी को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए ये कानून लाया जा रहा है। इसमें ये कहना कि शरीयत में मुदाखलत है, तो ये गलत, मेरा जाती तौर पर ये मानना है। दूसरा, ये जो तंजीमें या कोई भी जज्बाती तकरीर देकर मुसलमानों को बलगरा रहे हैं, या उनको ललकार है कि आओ तुम्हारी मस्जिदें छीन जाएंगी, तुम्हारी दरगाहें छीन जाएंगी, इमाम वाले छीन जाएंगे, तो ये सरासर गलत है। हुकूमत ने बहुत संजीदगी के साथ इस कानून को लाई थी। हुकूमत पार्लियामेंट में लाती, उन्होंने जेपीसी में भेजा था। जेपीसी ने पूरे हिंदुस्तान में घूम के सबको सुना है, सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स को। उनको सुनने के बाद में रिकमेंडेशंस दी है। तो जैसा कि जेपीसी की रिकमेंडेशन, अब जो बिल आएगा उस पर भी बाकायदा उस पर चर्चा होगी पार्लियामेंट में, और चर्चा होने के बाद में अच्छा बिल आएगा निकल के। लेकिन मुसलमानों को ये भड़काना या उनको ये कहना कि साहब आपकी मस्जिद, इदारे, धार्मिक प्रॉपर्टी छीन जाएंगी, वो गलत है।
किरेन रिजिजू जो सेंट्रल मिनिस्टर है, उन्होंने भी आज यही बोला है कि इस पे सीए की तरह जो झूठ बोले गए थे और झूठ बोल के जो भड़काया गया था मुसलमानों को, वो ना किया जाए। बट मैं आपसे पूछती हूँ कि आपको क्या लगता है कि इससे दिक्कत किसको है? जब सब कुछ सही है आपके अनुसार, तो अमेंडमेंट से दिक्कत किसको है?
देखिए, देखिए, सहमति है, सहमति तो किसी को भी हो सकती है, कोई हो सकता है कोई किसी क्लॉज से कोई कहता है मैं सहमत नहीं उससे, लेकिन ज्यादातर उन लोगों को दिक्कत हो रही है जो वक्फ की प्रॉपर्टीज पे कब्जा कर करके बैठे। आम आदमी को कोई परेशानी नहीं होगी, आम मुसलमान को तो बेचारे को लेना देना नहीं, वो तो सुबह घर से निकलता है रोजी रोटी कमाने के लिए, शाम को सोचता है कि 200-500 रुपए घर में लेके घुसूं ताकि घर में बीवी बच्चों को कुछ खिला सकूं। उनको क्या मालूम वक्फ से क्या होता है। जो बड़े बड़ी वक्फ की प्रॉपर्टी है जिनकी मार्केट वैल्यू करोड़ों रुपए में है, जिनका किराया करोड़ों रुपए आना, लाखों रुपए आना चाहिए, आज उनका किराया 1000, 2000, 5000 मिनिमम, मैक्सिमम इतना है, इससे तो है ही नहीं। तो वक्फ प्रॉपर्टी का सही यूटिलाइजेशन होना चाहिए। अगर किसी सेक्शन पे कोई आपत्ति है तो पार्लियामेंट में माशाल्लाह अपोजिशन भी बहुत स्ट्रांग है, उसमें चर्चा करके उसमें अमेंडमेंट करा लें। लेकिन ये कहना कि नहीं हुकूमत ये कर रही है तो हम उसको आपत्ति करेंगे सिर्फ इसलिए कि मोदी गवर्नमेंट ये बिल ला रही है इसलिए मुखालिफत करेंगे, ये गलत।
So is that the real issue, that this is being done by Modi government or a BJP-led government? But my final question to you, चिश्ती साहब, आप उन लोगों को कैसे जवाब देंगे जो कहेंगे, जो आपके ऊपर इल्जाम लगाएंगे कि आप तो सरकार के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, आप मुसलमानों की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं?
देखिए, हिंदुस्तान का काफी मुसलमान हमसे जुड़ा हुआ है। हम तो अल्लाह का शुक्र है कि इतने बड़े ओहदे पे मेरे वालिद बुजुर्ग बैठे हुए हैं और मैं उनका जानशीन हूँ, तो लोगों को जानते हैं। हमारा कोई जाती लालच नहीं है, हम जहाँ हैं ता क़यामत तक इंशाल्लाह यहीं रहेंगे। ना तो हमें कोई पॉलिटिकल अपॉइंटमेंट चाहिए, ना ही हमें राज्यसभा चाहिए, और ना ही हमें कोई प्रोटोकॉल चाहिए। मसला ये है कि हक बात बोलेगा जो भी। अब मसला क्या हो रहा है, माहौल ऐसा बना दिया कि जो मोदी सरकार का साथ देगा वो मुसलमान भी नहीं उसको क्वेश्चन करने लग जाते हैं कि नहीं तुम तो गद्दार हो। नहीं, गलत है। देखिए, गालियां वही बकता है टीवी पे आके जिसको तकलीफ होती है, आपसे बदतमीजी वही करेगा टीवी पे आके जिसको तकलीफ होती है। हमें किसी पे फर्क नहीं पड़ता। लोगों ने करी है, मैंने वक्फ बिल को सपोर्ट किया, मैं पार्लियामेंट तक जाकर आया किरण रिजिजू साहब के साथ, मैंने वहां से खड़े होकर बयान दिया। उसके बाद में कई लोगों ने मेरे भगवरन पे भी क्वेश्चन किया, मैंने किसी को रिप्लाई नहीं दिया। लेकिन फिर भी मैं देश के मुसलमानों से अपील करना चाहता हूँ, मैं गरीब नवाज की बारगाह से, उनकी औलाद और वहां के सज्जादा नशीन का जानशीन बोल रहा हूँ कि देखिए, हुकूमत जो बयान आधिकारिक तौर पर पार्लियामेंट में दे रही है उस पर यकीन करिए, उससे वो प्रतिबद्ध है, उससे वो पाबंद है। मीडिया पर आकर के जो बाहर आके बयान दे रहे उसकी कोई ऑथेंटिसिटी नहीं है। वो हो सकता है पॉलिटिकल स्टंट भी हो सकता है उनका जाती इंटरेस्ट भी हो। हमें तो कानून के तहत चलना है ना, ये देश तो कानून से चलता है। अच्छा, जो एक्ट में अमेंडमेंट की बात हो रही है तो वो तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के तहत लाया गया था, वो शरीयत के तहत तो लाया नहीं गया था। हाँ, शरीयत की प्रॉपर्टी जो कानून से प्रॉपर्टी इस्लामिक कानून से गवर्न होती है उसका मैनेजमेंट कैसे होगा? तो ना तो शरीयत में वक्फ बोर्ड का कहीं जिक्र है, ना ही शरीयत में क्या नाम है चेयरमैन अपॉइंट होने का कहीं जिक्र है, ना मेंबरों का। आज सीईओ अपॉइंट हो रहा है। तो अब दूसरा इशू मैं आपको मुसलमानों को पैगाम वो देना चाहता हूँ, वक्फ के अलावा जो हमारा फर्ज है जिसको बोलते हैं हम हज, 5 फर्जों में से एक इंपॉर्टेंट फर्ज हज है। हज का मैनेजमेंट कौन देख रहा है आज की तारीख? मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ माइनॉरिटी अफेयर्स। हज पे आपको कौन भेज रहा है इंतजाम करके? तमाम हिंदू हजरात ऑफिसर्स लगे हुए हैं, वो आपका इंतजाम कर रहे हैं, माशाल्लाह बहुत अच्छा इंतजाम कर रहे हैं। हमारे मंत्री नॉन मुस्लिम हैं, वो इंतजाम कर रहे हैं आपको। तो वो जो इस्लामी फरीजा है, जो इस्लाम का फर्ज हमारा बाकायदा पाबंदी है, मैंडेटरी हमारे लिए हज तो हम उनके थ्रू करने के लिए तैयार है। इस मैनेजमेंट में आप कहते हैं कि नहीं किसी की मुदाखलत नहीं होनी चाहिए। इस मैनेजमेंट में तो 1954 में मुदाखलत हो गई थी।
जी, चलिए चिश्ती साहब, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमसे जुड़ने के लिए। ईद मुबारक हो आपको। थैंक्स अ लॉट फॉर स्पीकिंग टू अस। I want to open this up to our other guests joining us. Gopal Agarwal, spokesperson of the BJP, Arshpreet Kadial from the Congress Party, Rahul Ishwar, activist based in Kerala, and also Vishnu Jain, senior lawyer, is joining us. I want to begin with Arshpreet. Arshpreet, this is indeed, I want to take forward from what Chishti ji said. You know, what is happening is a lot of discussion, particularly on social media, is happening by what social media users are saying, not necessarily what official parties stand, whether it's the Congress or the BJP is saying, or what the government is saying. And that's the real danger in today's time. Does the Congress party want to be seen with the voices that are inflaming passions, quite like what Mr. Rijiju reminded happened during CA?
Well, see, if anyone's trying to do that, it's been a couple of leaders from the Bharatiya Janata Party, especially during elections, who had given statements like "इनके बच्चे ज़्यादा होते हैं, घुसपैठिए घुसे हुए हैं," statements like that. So let's come to the issue. Number one, it is an attack on the Constitution of India. It violates Article 14, which is a fundamental right. And the problems that are there with the bill are, number one, that officers of the state government have been given far-reaching powers to even de-recognize a waqf on the basis of a complaint. Now, my question to the Bharatiya Janata Party is it not violative of the principles of natural justice without even hearing the other party, a Waqf can be de-recognized. Number two.
But was it not illegitimate when, without hearing the other party, Waqf boards could themselves decide whether a property is Waqf or not? That was also wrong there?
No. Now the institutions that were there governing everything before back in the day were set by the judiciary after long deliberations, after a lot of experience, and then they had come to this conclusion, which has now been done away with.
That's not true. This was a law passed by Parliament, not by judiciary.
If I may kindly complete, please, if I may. Institutions that were created by the previous laws to administer Waqfs, like the National Council, the State Board, the tribunals, they have been reduced in authority, they have been reduced in stature, they have been reduced in composition as well. Number three now. The Waqf by user concept, which was developed by the judiciary, is also being abolished. And we want to know from the Bharatiya Janata Party, are you trying to undermine the judiciary and the decisions there?
Okay.
Number four, enhanced defenses are being introduced in the law to protect who has encroached over the Waqf land, and we want to know it from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Why have you given the powers to collectors and other designated government officials?
I get that.
That they can now govern on matters related to disputes.
Could it be that from the fire we are into the pan? Because actually a lot of people are raising objections to district collectors getting these kind of sweeping powers. There is, I am told by legal experts, no legal parallel to this. But you know, Vishnu Jain is joining us. In fact, he is one of those voices who fights for quote-unquote Hindu causes, and he has an objection to the amendments that have been brought in. I'll get Vishnu on the legal view in just a bit. But Gopal Krishna Agarwal, please respond to this. Who controls the district collectors anymore if you give them so many powers? Who controls them? Are people not going to become subject to their high-handedness? And was it really necessary, for example, this is my question, to include 2 non-Muslim members into the tribunals? This almost seems like a deliberate attempt as an affront to Muslims.
So I would like to just restrict myself to amendment. One thing is that there are 3 kind of properties under Waqf regulations and management. One is those which are registered with the Waqf already. The government has categorically said that those properties which are registered with the Waqf, there is nothing that can,
they will not touch them, yes,
can be taken. Second is the properties which are under court jurisdiction, various cases are pending, tribunal, etc. This amendment bill also does not take into them. It's not retrospective. First thing, it is prospective, that any new property, there is a process in this amendment. Second thing is, no mosque or mazar property can be taken back. It's only about management of Waqf properties, for whose benefit these properties will be used, who will be the beneficiaries, how that properties, whatever value they get, who will be benefited, how that will be benefited. One thing. The last point I also would like to say is that where is the issue? You talk about the amendments. Amendments is just the code earlier, the issue about it's like a commissioner, a charitable commissioner, which is a government body which regulates various trust and activities. You can form any trust or activities, but the government, as this Chishti Saab had said, that already Hajj committee and other acts are being governed by the government officials.
But can I just ask you?
You cannot talk, no, let me last finish. You cannot say that the government official is Hindu or Muslim, or if you are wanting a regulation from the government bodies or a non-religious body is formed, it cannot be said that it has to have a color of a religion or something.
No, I get that. Government officials cannot certainly be chosen from a certain religion alone. But I want to ask you, for example, this whole concern by Muslim bodies that all existing mosques, even graveyards that don't have any registration papers, that don't have any Waqf deed to show, they can now become open to claim. Now you say they have been given protection, but I'm just reading the wording of what has come from the government. It says that while this provision will no longer be there as Waqf deeds are becoming compulsory, protection will be given to Waqf properties like mosques and graveyards already registered with the Waqf boards on or before the commencement of this act, unless they are disputed or classified as government property. So anything that is government property goes back to government, disputes continue in court. But other than that, there is no protection to existing mosques and graveyards. if they do not have deeds, they are open to claims. Is that not the truth?
Who will claim? Ultimately, the government property or the government or the public property, there has to be protection for that. You cannot just claim any property which belongs to the government or to the public just like that. There has to be a proper rule. It is the basic problem arose by 2013 amendment where all the legal procedure ultimately we are run by a constitution. We have a judiciary process. There is a review process which is defined under the constitution.
Okay.
Anybody can go to the judicial court for anything, but the thing is, this is not retrospective.
This is not retrospective. So I do understand you clarifying that because I do understand you clarifying that because there are some fears being spread that there will be retrospective action on certain properties. Kiren Rijiju, in a very big statement, I feel, has come out and said, don't spread canards and lies like was done on CA. We all remember what happened on CA, and a lot of people have maybe turned the page from those years and come back to realize that a lot of people were on the streets, a lot of people were hurt for possibly nothing, because it did not affect a single Indian Muslim. But there are those who feel...
is benefiting out of it? We should understand. Who will benefit out of this amendment? It is the poor, women, those who are under... What is the objective of Waqf? It is for the welfare of the poor.
I understand. Gopalji, just give me a couple of minutes. Because...
last point. If that objective is not being met, what you do? You amend it.
Okay. I'm not sure if that is what brought Waqf Act into focus. What brought it into focus, let's face it, is the fact that they were making incendiary claims on large expanses of land which had very little connection either to Islam or to Muslim purpose, Muslim religious use. But I'll leave that aside. I want to go across to Vishnu Shankar, because Vishnu Shankar, you are one of those voices who's not happy with the amendments. You feel they're not serving the purpose that they were meant to serve. Your take?
When we went before the JPC, so there were two scopes and two approaches to address this issue. First scope was that the Waqf Act 1995 may totally be repealed. The Waqf may be treated as a trust, like the properties of trust are registered. In the same manner, the properties of Waqf is also registered. That was one approach. But when we went before the JPC very clearly told us that our zone and our scope is very, very narrow. We cannot go for a total repeal. We cannot recommend for a total repeal of the Waqf Act 1995. Kindly point out those provisions which are in contravention of the Constitution of India.
Right.
Kindly point out those provisions which are in violation of the which are in violation of Article 14 of the Constitution of India. Now we have given a detailed presentation to the JPC of 49 slides. Now, very crucial aspect is just what you are pointing out. That Waqf Act, you are citing the example of Kerala. The issue is this, that still in this amendment bill, it is not clear that the Waqf Act 1995 will not apply to non-Muslims. The Waqf Act 1995 will not apply to properties of ASI. The Waqf Act 1995 will not apply to properties of societies which are registered under the Societies Registration Act. The Waqf Act will not apply to the properties which are registered under the Trust Act 1882.
Okay.
So these are certain lacunas which are there in the present amendment bill. Apart from that, the power of survey which is given to the Waqf for Waqf properties, that survey, suppose survey is being carried out, and at the time of the survey, if dispute arises, for example, just for example, if any house is being surveyed under the Waqf survey, and at that time a dispute arises that you cannot conduct survey on this house because this house belongs to a non-Muslim, and we have ownership documents. At that point of time, my suggestion was immediately the matter should be referred to the civil court and survey for that property must stop.
Okay.
Because still this lacuna is there in the present amendment bill that if the survey is carried out and you are agreed by the survey, you have to challenge it before the Waqf tribunal.
Okay, no, but let me just understand this. Earlier, these surveys were being conducted by the appointed commissioners of the boards. Now the surveys will be done by the district collector. You're not happy with that?
Not happy. Because if district collector is doing the survey, what will the district collector of West Bengal do? What will the district collector of Tamil Nadu do? And how can you give such a blatant power to a district collector to conduct survey of Waqf properties? I ask a question, isn't it not discriminatory whether the district collector is doing survey in Karnataka of all the temples? Whether the district collector is doing survey of all the temples in Tamil Nadu? Whether there is any provision in the constitution that a collector will do survey of a religious property? Forget argument of discrimination for a moment. I am giving a practical example that if district collector is doing survey and at that point of time there is a dispute which arises that this property is not a Waqf property. You cannot do survey of this property. So I have suggested that that dispute must go to the civil court, not to the Waqf tribunal.
Okay. Rahul Ishwar, do you also share this concern that, it's like we're stuck between a rock and a hard place, or from the pan to the fire, because instead of a commissioner doing these surveys, now it's district collectors and they're going to become all powerful?
Shivani ji, we need to find a middle ground in this very sensitive debate. Let's be very honest about this. It's a very sensitive debate and our Muslim brothers are touchy regarding that. Especially in the holy month of Ramzan, which is ending today, the Eid and all coming. So they are a bit sensitive regarding that. But there has been instances of misuse of Waqf. Let us no one close the eyes towards it. For example, I am from South. The Tiruchendurai village in Tamil Nadu was claimed, and even the temple was claimed, which is 1,500-year-old temple was claimed. So this is absolute misuse and overreach. I am a Gandhian, I work with Muslim organization. I have requested and personally told them Section 40 gives sweeping powers. As Vishnu Shankar Jain ji and other people pointed out, Section 40 is too sweeping. That is giving too much of power. And it is absolutely not right when other people, community are also involved. The Waqf board gets to decide it because there is a structural inequality in this, or a structural issue in this. At the same point of time, there are some things I think they will need to water down, because otherwise the courts can definitely challenge it. For example, Muslim brothers might not be totally happy with other community members.
Non-Muslim members.
Non-Muslim members in it, maybe it will be phased out. The counter argument is when there are non-Muslims also involved, they need to feel comfortable, especially regarding the dispute. But it is a highly touchy and sensitive issue, which also needs to get judicial clearance, because the fight is definitely going to be on Supreme Court. All the lawyers, the best lawyers from both sides,
will challenge this. So you foresee a challenge to the amendment?
Absolutely. That's a given.
Can I ask you, just like the issue of quote-unquote love jihad, it is the churn in Kerala society which is actually lending a lot of credence to what is happening even on the Waqf bill, because the Catholic Bishops' Council is coming out and say that there is a problem. So, what happens generally is that it becomes a Congress versus BJP issue, or it becomes a Hindu versus Muslim issue, and the larger issue gets drowned in that rhetoric. But here, once again, from Kerala, we are getting a reminder that there is a problem on the ground.
Because, it's a reality that there is an issue at Munambam. We are seeing it with our own eyes. Munambam is a place in Kerala where there was a claim regarding Waqf, and many Muslim brothers rejected it. See, it's a complex issue. Many Muslim brothers rejected it. The Travancore king gave the land to a Muslim community member. Later, he transferred to Farooq College. Later, they transferred it to them. Even Farooq College took a stand against the Waqf claim. See, the issue with the aspect of our Muslim brothers is they are too sensitive, and they feel if an inch is conceded, a kilometer will be snatched. That is the concern. Let us be honest about it. That's their genuine concern. But at the same point of time, we need to inspire, get them for a consensus, and take them into understanding that there is a problem, and Christians in Munambam, nearly 600 Christian families have suffered the wrath, and there are many Muslim organizations like MES who came out and said many Muslim properties also had, I won't use the word snatch, but were taken away by a lopsided.
So do you feel by and large, as far as the ordinary Muslim community is concerned, they don't have a problem? It is certain stakeholders, power holders?
It is the responsibility of the government. Whoever supports or opposes, it's a responsibility of the government to take everyone into confidence.
Gopal Krishna Agarwal, you wanted to come in. Please respond to the concerns.
Last point I want to say that there is a concern about non-Muslim being part of the about from this. One thing, this property which is being talked about does not belong only to the Muslims. This property, I am audible. Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
the thing is that the property which is being talked about does not belong only to one community or religious community.
Okay.
It belongs to the others also. So where in the name of natural justice, there has to be a representation from the other
From the
parties.
non-Muslim community.
As we have
Okay,
seen from the Christian community, Sikh, Jain, there is no
and in any
minority.
case, the people make argument that in a secular country, temple management can be in the hands of non-Hindus. So why can't Waqf boards have non-Muslim members? Ashpreet, I'll give you 30 seconds for your final comments as well. Is it time for the entire political spectrum to acknowledge that reforms are needed? It's plain and simple. At least have a debate on this in Parliament instead of obstructing it.
See, the problem with the Bharatiya Janata Party is they do not want to give answers to the questions despite being in the world's largest democracy. They're still asking questions despite being in government. So number one, does the Bharatiya Janata Party not agree with the fact that the collectors have been given far-reaching powers to decide the disputes pertaining to Waqf property?
We can answer to all the questions.
Number two, why have enhanced defenses been created that are there to protect the people who have encroached over the Waqf land? What possible reason, logic could you give to that? And number three, provisions in the existing law being deleted without any reason just to weaken the administration of the Waqf. What does the Bharatiya Janata Party have to say about that? There is
These
no
are
answer.
false narratives.
And despite that, the Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson is not able to answer.
We have given an answer to all the questions in the amendment. There were questions raised by various people, and under the JPC, more than 1.25 crore people have approached.
Okay.
There are more than 50 meetings have taken place all over the country.
No, it will be, as Rahul Ishwar said, it will be the government's prerogative to bring everybody on board, to keep everyone happy. Of course, we'll see what happens. We are hearing the bill is going to be tabled very soon, in a couple of days. And we look forward to some good debate in Parliament on that. But yes, the onus will be on the government to ensure that people can walk away happy as far as these amendments are concerned.
Sure.
But even as I thank all of our guests, I want to just ask a final question to Vishnu Jain as well. Because Vishnu, you are someone who's fighting a lot of cases in courts related to holy Hindu sites, right? And you're reclaiming those sites back. Now, the question that arises is, for example, in Waqf board claims as well, there are lands which were donated, there is history, recorded history, were donated by Muslim leaders or rulers or Muslim individuals. Now, what happens if they don't have proof? Are we going to keep going back and challenging all of those claims? How do we do this? Because not everybody is supposed to have papers from those era.
See, first of all, we have to understand that as per very strict understanding of Islamic law, there are only two ways post 2024 amendment by which a property can be deemed to be a Waqf property. The first was that Waqf by registration. And it was a mandate under the Islamic law that if you want to do any property as a Waqf property, there has to be a Waqf deed. And let me tell you, so far as Taj Mahal issue is concerned, the matter is pending adjudication in the Supreme Court. Precisely this was the question which was asked by the Honorable Court, that where is the Waqf deed by Shah Jahan? Until date, the matter has not been heard. After 2018, you can do all the research. And the Taj Mahal was declared as Waqf property by UP Sunni Central Waqf Board. The matter ASI is under appeal in the Supreme Court. The matter is pending adjudication in the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So you have to show registration document. It is not like that registration is a mandate of today's era. Registration having a Waqf deed was a mandate from past very old times.
Okay.
And in Gyanvapi case also, this issue arose that where did Aurangzeb do the Waqf deed so far as Gyanvapi was concerned, and no Waqf deed could have been shown. There are many properties where Waqf deeds are existing, which are 300 years old, 400 years old.
Okay.
So to overcome this hurdle, under the Waqf Act 1995, two draconian provisions were introduced. First was that the original definition of Waqf, which was a Bailey and Mullah's Mohammedan law, which I narrated before you at the beginning of my conversation with you, were taken off. The second draconian thing was that the concept of Waqf by user was introduced. So if you are using any property for, and number of years were also not mentioned. So if you are using any property, suppose for 5 years, 6 years, 100 years, 50 years, 3 years, 2 years, everything can be deemed to be Waqf by user. And we have seen this misuse of verb by user concept. So far as Bangalore's Eidgah Maidan is concerned, if you remember, a section of the Hindu community wanted to celebrate Ganpati festival there, and there it was refused, saying that this Eidgah Maidan is a verb property, and when title documents were asked, they said it's a verb by user. So these two things, verb by user and registration, were the concepts which were brought in. And now coming to a question that so far as Kerala is concerned, you have to have a mandatory verb deed.
Now that's where it gets complicated, isn't it?
Deed. Without a verb deed, you cannot say that this property belongs to Waqf.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it at that because that's where the complexity is. How do you always prove that it was Waqf, even if it's 300, 400-year-old history? In today's time, there are lands which have no history of Islamic activities, but even they are claimed by Waqf. So it's not just by user, it's by historicity as well. I'll leave it at that. We'll wait and see how the debate in Parliament goes. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. Time for a very short break. On the other side, the other big story we're tracking, what exactly is going on between Congress MP Shashi Tharoor from Kerala and the BJP or Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister. We'll be back with more on this in just a bit.
सस्ते वाले
Welcome back. Known to speak his mind, Congress MP Shashi Tharoor is back on the praise Modi bandwagon, veering off from the party's official line and sowing seeds of a so-called rift speculation again. Nearly 2 weeks after Tharoor's egg on my face remark left the Congress party red-faced, Tharoor has praised Modi government's Vaccine Maitri initiative on its anniversary. This is the latest in a series ranging right from his 2014 comment saying that it would be rather churlish to ignore Prime Minister Modi's inclusive outreach to 2023 when the Congress MP praised Prime Minister's Muslim outreach, calling it rather exemplary. The heap of praise comes against the backdrop of dwindling ties with the Congress top brass and the state unit. The outward display of Tharoor's fondness for Prime Minister Modi seems to have left the grand old party irked, for it has gone completely silent since. And despite the Congress MP trying to downplay the tensions, despite the party not dignifying what's out there for everyone to see with a statement, the rift isn't hidden from anyone. While Tharoor has played down these rift reports, here's why he may be upset with the High Command after all. Just breaking down what could be the reasons behind this. For one, he might be feeling sidelined in Kerala Congress itself despite winning 4 successive Lok Sabha polls. Congress is yet to project him as the Kerala Congress's #1 face. Even in the central setup, his role is not very clear. There certainly is a lack of clarity from Rahul Gandhi on Tharoor's party role, and especially remember since he also made a bid for the president's post of the Congress party. Having a broad worldview, Tharoor is often found to be at odds over his opinion with both state and central Congress units. And lastly, being a free market and pro-globalization propagator, Tharoor is sure to feel queasy with the growing ultra-left tilt of the Congress on various issues. So, the differences are galore. The big question remains is he on the lookout, and whether the BJP would be interested? We'll take that to our guests. Tom Vadakan, national spokesperson of the BJP, Nikul Patel, leader of the Congress party, and Rahul Ishwar also joining us. Tom Vadakan is not a stranger to feeling a stranger amongst friends in the Congress party in the past. He has joined the BJP from the Congress in the past. So, Tom Vadakan, I'll cut to the chase. Is the BJP happy to have Mr. Tharoor in the folds?
Well, this is not just about Tharoor. There are many of the congressmen who have privately said what Tharoor is saying. So it's not just as if it's just Tharoor.
But he's saying it openly.
There are restrictions under which they speak in private. But the reality is, this is an acknowledgement of Modi ji's leadership, his acumen in foreign affairs, and the vaccine policy that he adopted, which is globally accepted. The reality is dawning very slowly, but whether it's Shashi Tharoor opening up on these things, I would not put motives to it, that he's being sidelined or what. He's speaking his mind. There are many people, I remember, who speak against Rahul Gandhi's policy line and have said to me, I'm saying this openly, that this is guidance from Soros and company. So these are congressmen who are waiting, and not because they want to cross over. It's not a question of crossing over this side or that side.
Then
a time has come when foreign policies and development issues have to be the focus of this country.
No, but reality is, Tom Vadakan, reality is once you open your mouth and say these things, I don't know who's talking to you about Rahul Gandhi being backed by George Soros and all. Certainly they're not doing it in open. But Shashi Tharoor is saying what he's saying in a very diplomatic way, as he's known to. He's praising Narendra Modi. He's not really saying anything anti-Congress or anti-Congress leadership just yet. He has raised questions over Congress leadership. And of course, he made the bid for the president's post. He felt there was a need to do what needed to be done at a larger scale within the Congress. But leaving that aside, he's now gone one step further to feeling uneasy with the Congress's policies. And he has talked about other options. Political leaders don't make these public statements unless they're looking for something. Let's be clear. So I ask you again, what could he add to the BJP?
Well, that's not on my pay scale that I can make a comment on what Shashi Tharoor brings on the table for the BJP. Shashi is a good friend of mine. I've known him for years, and he is open to thoughts. He's a bright person, erudite, and he would take a decision at the appropriate time what he wants to do. I would not like to go into the forecasting astrologically that yes, during this star position he would come or he would not come.
Okay.
But the point here is there's a realization across the board that the policies adopted by our Prime Minister,
are
our
good.
Foreign
Okay.
Minister,
Okay,
stood
I
the
can
test.
remind our viewers that BJP senior leaders have always said their doors are open to whoever wants to come into the BJP and work the way BJP is known to work, or, you know, lend a helping hand, as they say, to what they want to do for the country. But Nikul, I want to ask you, what Tom is saying is, that, you know, it has shades of truth. We've seen leader after leader and qualified, educated, many of them young guns, leave the Congress party because they just don't see a future in the Congress party, and it seems the party is unable to stop that slide.
See, firstly, I would like to say that Indian National Congress is a grand old political party in the country, ruled to the country for a long period and given so many policies and welfare to the people of the country. Shashi Tharoor is one of the member of parliament who contested from Kerala, one of the constituency, and become minister also. Yeah, and in his statement, he had never said that he's going to leave Indian National Congress. Now, it's a good statesman who appreciate the policies. If there are some policies of the opposition government is good, then he's doing it. It's fine. Anyone can do it. Even if something is good, I also appreciate the policy. But the criticism is also done by Shashi Tharoor ji whenever it is required regarding means Narendra Modi government. So at present, I don't feel that he is being sidelined. He is one of the premium and main leader in Indian National Congress. We have internal democracy. We have an election of president where he contested. No doubt he didn't win it. But he's never been sidelined. If he might have been sidelined, then he might have not been given.
Are you saying this is routine? Nikul, are you trying to project this as routine, that Congress leaders are habitual of praising the Modi government? I mean, I don't remember that to be the case for the last 10 years. This is out of the ordinary.
Praising Modi government. It's about the policy what he was discussing.
Anything the Modi government touches, no Congress leader wants to be seen praising it. Let's face it.
I think a good statesman will always try to appreciate any policy which is good for the country. Any good statesman will appreciate any policy which is good for the country. And it is not good, it is not bad, or it is not that we are opposing Congress, I think.
Okay, yes, Mr. Varakan, you were saying something?
I mean, a good statesman would appreciate good policies, is what the Congress spokesman said. I appreciate that. But why are you suggesting that Rahul Gandhi is not a good statesman, that he does not appreciate the policies and the thought processes? Are you suggesting that Rahul Gandhi is on the wrong track, or he is blind to the reality that the policies, or is he taking the diktats of certain foreign governments? Is that what you're trying to do?
Okay, let him respond.
Now you are, Tom Badakamji, you want to directly compare it with Rahul Gandhi. I think Shashi Tharoor ji have criticized so many times Narendra Modi government, and even Rahul Gandhi is criticizing it. See, criticism must be taken in a positive sense, and government has to respond. But your government is not responding in the way it is required for the country. Even though you are not ready to speak on the floor of the parliament. That is what the pathetic part of your government as well as Narendra Modi government is. And even Shashi Tharoor is speaking so many times. So your logic that a good statesman means what? Anything, if he is appreciating it, then it's fine. If it is criticizing, also indicates it's a good statesman who is talking about the people of the country in the larger interest.
Okay, I want to bring in
So
Rahul.
you're not having a good
Mr.
definition
Varakan,
of
I'll
good
just come back to
statesman,
you once again. I want to go across to Rahul Isha. Rahul Isha, what do you think is happening? And is Mr. Shashi Tharoor out of place in the Congress party? Could he be fit for the BJP?
No, Shivani ji, as a proud Malayali and Keralite, and as a friend of Tharoor sir too, Kerala is blessed to have such non-political politicians. We have people like Shashi Tharoor, we have people like Suresh Gopi, who is a BJP MP. When a CPM MLA, Sri Mukesh, was in trouble, only Suresh Gopi spoke for him, not even CPM members. See, that shows the goodness of these people.
But that depends on the
Shashi
issue.
Tharoor, sir, as we all know, comes from a different background altogether. He knows about more than foreign policy than anyone. And let us be very honest about it. See, I don't belong to BJP or Congress, but Modi ji is one of the most successful, especially in terms of foreign policy. We shouldn't shy away from admitting it.
No, you shouldn't shy away from admitting it, Rahul Ishwar, but a Congress leader does.
No, we should. There may be political compulsions for so many people in not admitting. But let's be honest. Narendra Modi ji is the first person as Indian PM to official visit to Israel, to Palestine, to UAE almost after 34 years. He won the highest civilian awards of these nations. See, he brought a new balance to the world. And as Shashi Tharoor rightly pointed out, the only person in the world who can hug Zelensky and Putin a week after is Narendra Modi ji. See, that's not only a compliment to Modi ji, that's a compliment to India. And there should be some areas which should be beyond politics. We should be appreciating honestly. And Modi ji also returned the favor. Modi ji, while he was attacking the Congress, cleverly said, the Congress leader should know about foreign policy. And he even said, I'm not talking about Shashi Tharoor. So, remember when PM Modi ji was made the Prime Minister, he used to initiate challenges in Twitter. And Shashi Tharoor was one of the first person he tagged. And regarding one more thing, with due respect to Congress, you have, underutilized people like Pranab Kumar Mukherjee, who should have been the PM. You are right now underutilizing people like Shashi Tharoor too. And Pranab Kumar Mukherjee is such a person who gets cross-cultural or cross-party support. Modi ji used to regularly visit him. And Modi ji was proud and happy that he touched the feet of Pranab Kumar Mukherjee, who is a Bharat Ratna, who is a senior to him. See, that increases Modi ji's status. Otherwise there are other people who will be petty to even Pranab Mukherjee when he goes to a RSS stage. See, we should be broad-minded. We should be, beyond politics, there is also an Indianness in us. And Shashi Tharoor exemplifies it. Suresh Gopi exemplifies it. People like Modi exemplifies it.
If this is a start of a new trend or going back to the way politics was before 2014, then surely all of us will welcome it, because I think we can all accept that there has been a vitriol that we haven't seen since Narendra Modi became the PM, right? People are still unwilling to come to terms with the reality that Narendra Modi is in his third term and is possibly, one of the most backed leaders electorally in the country has seen. But I have limited time, so Nicole, I'll give you a minute. Let's address the elephant in the room, which is that Congress is unable to give an appropriate place and position to many of its deserving leaders. That's the crux.
I think that is the perception that is being built by Bharatiya Janata Party. All the leaders who are in the Congress are getting the due respect and they are working in their own spirit to support the people of the country, and wherever they are being elected, they used to work in the larger interest of the people. I don't understand why such statements are being created and generated in the larger public domain, and especially by the channels like you.
I'll tell you why. I knew you were going to question us, but I'll tell you why. I'm only, looking at the pattern where leader after leader has left your party, right? I don't want to go into the names because everybody knows them. Jyotiraditya Scindia, Jitin Prasad recently, there is others, even not that all of them are going to the BJP, some have gone to the TMC in recent past as well. So there is a reality, right? When you say, I don't know why you are saying this, then it again sounds like the Congress is, wants to bury its head in the sand.
Can I respond?
Yeah.
See, yeah, I agree with your words, and we cannot change the history. There are so many leaders who went to Bharatiya Janata Party after 2014, and we have seen that how they respond when they leave Congress, I think, but they have never been respected. I think that's nothing the fact. All are being respected, all are given due positions, but they want to be in the power by moving to another political party. That happened too during the regime of Congress. So many leaders used to travel towards Congress also. So let's see.
Actually, that's not true. Recently, we did a check of history. When BJP played the opposition's role, let's accept this. When they played the opposition's role, they played it for decades, for 3 to 4 decades in national politics. You did not hear of their leaders leaving the BJP and joining the Congress or other parties that were in power.
So, Singh Waghela of Gujarat was into Congress.
Okay.
He became the chief minister.
All right. Tom Varakar, I want to give you the final minute. I just want to ask you, how do you think, because you know the Congress ecosystem, how do you think his statements are being received, Shashi Tharoor's statement? And do you relate to him at one level, given that you have also left the party in recent past?
Well, your question is loaded. Simply because I left the party in different circumstances, and I did not ask for any party positions or anything. I walked out because I had a policy line which I thought was anti-national. I should say that in public. And as to the question of Shashi Tharoor, well, Shashi Tharoor in the thought process is on the same page as we in our party are.
Okay.
He has praised the policies. My question here was, which I think Mr. Nikul did not understand that. My definition of a statesman is completely different. But here was this issue, he said, statesmen are those who appreciate policy lines. My question to Mr. Nikul was, if that is the case of if that is the litmus test for identifying a leader,
right,
then the question, I beg to raise that question, is Rahul Gandhi in the mold of a statesman?
Okay, I have to leave it at that. I've run out of time. Let's see what happens as far as this latest saga is concerned. A lot happening in Kerala politics. That's time on Plain Speak. Thanks a lot for staying with us. More coming up after a short break.
Brought to you by
Namaste, Jai Hind and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I am Anand Narsimhan. The first story on this Monday edition. The centre is all set to table the Waqf Amendment Bill on the 2nd of April in Parliament. And this is what top government sources have confirmed to your channel. The All India Muslim Personal Law Board has launched countrywide protests saying the new law is against the community. Some, like AIMIM leader Asaduddin Owaisi, are even saying Muslims will never forgive NDA allies like the Janata Dal United, Telugu Desam Party, Chirag Paswan's and LJP, and also Jain Chaudhry's RLD if they back it. Numbers are stacked in favour of the NDA at the moment. The BJP is confident of full support from the NDA allies, as the JPC seems to have taken care of most of their concerns. Now, backing the bill in Parliament, they should have the numbers, because you have the BJP, Shiv Sena, TDP, JDU, LJP Ramvilas Paswan, who are backing the bill, including RLD. Now, the doubters in Parliament are the Congress, DMK, Trinamool Congress, YSRCP, RJD, AIMIM, BRS, AIADMK,